reason that I wanted to do this video is to kind of take you through a journey of what 2021 was between the YouTube channel, between what I do on Instagram, and then also a lot of the music that I create. The year started off actually with me releasing a joint EP with fellow artist M.A., who's out of Louisiana. M.A. came to Dallas, I think it was like the first or second week. It might have been the first weekend of January. Yeah, I remember that because it was the NFL playoffs on TV, and we were sitting in here recording. And then on top of that, we actually went and we shot a video for Fake News, and I had a lot of fun doing that. That was one that I actually shot myself. And M.A. originally reached out to me probably early the previous year, because I remember it was right before COVID came. And I had been kind of talking to M.A. for a while about doing an EP. And when he reached out to me, he wanted to then do the EP, but I was under the impression that it was kind of like a solo EP. I would do the beats and then he'd rap over the beats. But then, you know, me and him got to talking, and a lot of the like conscious music that I released the previous year, and just generally speaking, everything from like Free Thoughts, Every Day, to name a few. And he liked a lot of the stuff that I was doing with that. So he wanted to actually make a full project kind of like that. So that's where me and him decided to do the Raptivists EP. And a lot of it we actually had recorded over the last year, but things kind of got off track a little bit due to COVID, and you know, people just trying to take care of themselves between myself and him. And we then, in January of this year, it's almost like I think we did 3 records here, and it was overall a 6-track EP. And we pretty much knocked out 3 songs that weekend. And also want to shout out Strategic Peoples out of Lafayette, Louisiana, part of the Synthesized Minds production group that we did an album years ago. And Strategic Peoples actually sent in Stand Up, which was a track off the Raptivists EP. And we recorded to that, dropped that as well. It was well received because it was the first time like I had made actually songs about a lot of things that was going on in America, you know, things in terms of racism and just a lot of the things that I believe in personally. And for me to do an EP like that meant a lot to me, first and foremost. And the fact that we released the EP during Black History Month along with the video, it was very well received, and I would definitely, you know, be open to doing something like that again at some point. So I'm gonna play a little bit of the M.A. interview, and then we're gonna keep it rolling. From me to you, just working on this project, we started this thing probably about a year, maybe a little over a year ago.
Right.
And a lot we probably had, I would say, 30 to 40% of the project recorded around that time. Right. Now, really, the whole premise of the project was really talking about a lot of the social issues that are currently in America right now. Right. The George Floyd deal to Philando Castile, Alton Sterling, right. The list goes on. That's kind of like where the inspiration came from. What about you? What's some of your inspiration?
Man, for me, I like what's crazy, I get not really labeled, but I think with the era I grew up in, so I'm able to use punchlines and metaphor and be witty, that a lot of that catch people to not really put me in a box, but to expect that. But my thing is storytelling and being a lyricist. Is like, I love the pen writing aspect. So with this, I always would, I ain't gonna say I dibble and dab, I make songs about with message and meaning and being, you know, conscious of what's going on and aware to make my audience think, because I understand as an artist, I'm able to paint pictures with words, you know. But to have a project of this magnitude that's gonna be current to the current listener, and then I have young kids that's growing up in this world that this gonna still be a reference to, because like as a father now, and I was a father when we met, but the older I'm getting with that, I feel more responsibility of not really watching what I'm saying, but make sure what I'm saying has longevity. you know, because I don't want to, when I'm like right now, we currently in Dallas, Texas. I live in the Lafayette, Louisiana area. You know, me and my wife, we flew out here. So
shout out to the flats.
yeah, you know, so this business, but at the same time, my kids at home.
Yep.
So this has to be something meaningful when I come back. Like, this not me just going to the studio an hour away or 30 minutes away just recording, which not saying that's not relevant either. But it makes me think like that. So my whole mind frame is different while I'm working on a project like this. And like you said, when we met, I remember one of the first songs I got from you. It was almost like, not really a Turk beat, but one of them bounce type records in the waters because of the Louisiana and it fit with what I was doing.
Next on the list was the start of the Major Music Lounge podcast. So I just want to go back and just had some thoughts about how I came up with the concept for the Major Music Lounge podcast and what the reason that I wanted to start the Major Music Lounge podcast was a lot of times there are topics that are on the podcast that we talk about amongst ourselves. You know, what are you using to produce? How long have you been producing? What are you currently working on? And then, you know, if we're getting a little bit more technical, what I wanted to do with the podcast is create a platform for other producers and content creators, me being a content creator, to come on and talk about some of what they're working on. And I think what I've realized, and also talking to a lot of other people, you know, what we do is not necessarily an easy thing. Getting here on this camera, especially for myself, I said it a lot on previous shows in the past, I'm a very introverted person, but I feel like that's really only outside of like music production and things like that. Inside of music production, I could talk about that all day. But the biggest thing that I had to kind of overcome, and I would say to a degree I'm still trying to overcome it, is talking a little bit more fluidly on camera. And you have to develop over time. It does, you know, there are some growing pains and there are some bumps in the road. But what it's allowed me to do by doing this podcast is also help people who are like me, because there are a lot of content creators out there who have really good content, but they don't quite have the following yet. And you know, some of them they might feel a little discouraged and want to quit because they feel like nobody's watching their content, when I felt like doing this podcast, we built a community where everybody's kind of following everybody's work. And for me personally, like, doing this podcast has also helped with my music on the opposite end of the spectrum, because I feel like over the last year, by doing this podcast and getting introduced to a lot of people, it allowed me to grow my overall support base. I don't necessarily like to say fan base, just as far as like a lot of people that follow and support what I do. I've seen that across YouTube and across Instagram. What I want to say to a lot of people that have came on the show is, don't ever sell yourself short. Continue to create content for one, continue to create the music that you want to create, because I feel like at some point, if you continue to create, everybody that really supports you and likes what you're doing, they're going to come and continue to support you. And you're going to continue to grow your support base and your network, as long as you continue to stay the course. And sure, there will be people out there that want to give constructive criticism. And me personally, I'm always good with that. But don't ever let the other idiots who, you know, come on other people's pages and post something negative, but then you click on their page and there's not a damn thing that you can even critique on their page, because they're, for whatever reason, just don't have any content. And, you know, you're always going to have people like that. So I definitely, like, at the end of the day, I don't mean to be so long-winded. I wanted to create the Major Music Lounge podcast for people like me that enjoy talking about music production, enjoy talking about new expansions, enjoy talking about gear, you know, everything that comes with music production. And I feel, you know, after 35 shows, continuing to grow to new heights. And I'm always thinking about new elements I'd like to add to the show. I'm gonna continue to do interviews, but I got some other things that I'm thinking about. Like, for example, maybe I'm thinking about something along the lines of maybe having certain people come on the show. Doesn't have to be maybe every week, but something along the lines of you might want to come on when there's breaking news about something that's iPad music production related, or that's new plugins or new hardware that came out. There's something else that I could add another layer to the show with, because I'm always thinking about growing my brand each year. This year was kind of the year where I wanted to hit the ground. I wanted to make people aware of the show, interview more producers. And then also for a lot of producers that are not only here in Dallas, but maybe in the surrounding state. You might be back in my hometown of Lafayette, Louisiana, or somewhere around there. But I would like to start doing more in-person interviews, to where we're in your lab, we're talking, or maybe you come down to my lab, we're talking about music production and just some of the things that I was talking about earlier here, and just something to create a different vibe to the show. Because doing the Zoom interviews are cool. People that are maybe in different places, or there are some people that really aren't comfortable yet being in the same room because of COVID. So I gotta respect that, but I do want to get out there to interview more people in person. And if you're out there, regardless if you're in Dallas or anywhere else, and you're interested in interviewing on the Major Music Lounge podcast, go ahead, send me a DM on Instagram, or you could also email me at majormusicent@gmail.com. Let me know you're interested in getting on for an interview, and we'll set it up. Though this is airing in December, I'm kind of on a semi hiatus, but I would like to start recording shows. I'm going to have some free time here and there in between now and the end of January. So if you are interested, I'm looking to record shows for the Major Music Lounge podcast, and hit me up and we'll make it happen. So, going on as far as some of the interviews that we did as a part of the podcast, Boom came on the show earlier this year, and Boom is a great friend of mine, known the brother over 15 years, and we chopped it up a lot about some social justice issues and topics, because last year he did a video for Wake Up Black. I did another video for Every Day, and we share a lot of the same beliefs and principles when it comes to like social issues and things like that. And talking about the music is cool, but I think sometimes the music and the message in the music has a bigger purpose. He came on to discuss that, so I'm gonna air a short clip of that as well. And one of the things that I've always admired about you, standing afar, is how you continue to use your platform in order to send out, the message, in order to talk to your fans and bring awareness to like racial equality, and things of that nature. So big ups to you on that. I kind of want to rewind back to the Wake Up Black video. And just the whole concept for the song. Where did the inspiration for that come from? And do you kind of think that people are starting to wake up? What's your thoughts on our current state of affairs in America?
Yeah, man. On that piece of it, I was just doing like simply just trying to do my part, right? So to me, it's like, it's like, I can't help you pay your rent if I don't pay my rent first, right? So as Black people, we're going to have to carry the majority of the burden of fixing the problem, right? So we want other races to jump in and help us, and allies and things like that. Like, I don't think there should be one Black person in America not doing their part, right? Staying silent is not doing your part, right? So if we have all these Black people not speaking, right? How do we expect shit to get fixed, right? I shouldn't even feel comfortable watching a white person march, but watching a Black dude stay at home, or you get what I'm saying? Like it doesn't add up, right? The math is wrong, right? So that's all I was doing with Wake Up Black. And even before Wake Up Black, I was marching, I was protesting, I was talking about it on social media. I was just being as active as I can and just doing my part. It doesn't matter how minute or how small, my part counts, right? So I know people, I have a platform, whether small, big, medium, whatever it is. Whenever I speak, people will listen. I don't care if someone has 10 followers, your 10 followers will listen, right? So that was it pretty much. It will Wake Up Black. It's like, how can I, in a creative way, put more miles on this message that I'm trying to get across, right? How can I help my people? How can I help people that don't look like me understand how we feel?
Now, shout out to Boom again. Very good interview, and you can check out the full interview here on this page. There was the homie Zach One and V Boy who actually came on the show to talk about their EP they released earlier this year called Parallel Universe. And one of the things is I've been watching. I just met V Boy this year, but I've been watching Zach One for a very long time, and just to see this brother's transformation over the years. I mean, I'm talking about probably maybe a little longer than 10 years. We never actually stood in the room together. We met each other kind of through Facebook, but just stayed connected through that whole time. And I've always appreciated that he's followed my work equally as much as I followed his. And we've always, you would think that we've met in person and been knowing each other for a very long time. Zach One came on the Major Music Lounge with V-Boy and talked really about just his overall transformation as a person, some of the things that he's did in 2021. So let's go ahead and get into that. This is a project, though, you guys are coming out with that, again, could help change somebody's life.
Hopefully.
Man. That's the hope.
That's some strands.
Even just hearing V saying things like, he sees the light a little bit and this is the way he's rapping now. Is just for me to be able to be a part of his transformation in any kind of way, for him to be, coming to a more positive side of himself, man, and hopefully that just spreads, man, because I'm proud of the changes he's made in his life, and just like you said, you got. I see him, and I've known him since we was knee high to a grasshopper. You know what I mean? And we was both running the same alleyways and the same turf, and
pretty crazy, both of them.
It was some crazy times to say the least. But we've both seen each other grow up, and this isn't our first project, man. Our first project, we didn't really care about being positive, or it was a good project, but we weren't on the same hype we are now. And I think this is really a grown man project, man. This is something like we really speaking to somebody. It ain't just rap. It ain't all over the place. But yeah, man. So like I said, just to hear him say that to me, and say that in this interview, that he's on that hype now, and he's not going back to what he was rapping about before. I mean, that's a big sign that it's already, starting, and then nobody's really even heard this piece outside of you and the few little songs we've been leaking the past few days. But I've been getting some real, some great feedback about these songs, man. I always make sure that people see the light in those songs when I'm sharing them. I'm like, this is something we did, and then, it does have a positive message, and they just agree with it. Like, yeah, man, it does. I see that, and I respect that. So that's all I want to do, man, is just, spread the love, man, and let people know, like, you ain't stuck, even though we've all been in situations where we feel like, man, I can never get out of this. You know what I mean? There's always a way out, bro. You just got to keep your faith. You know what I mean?
Now, during season 1, we actually did 20 interviews overall, I believe. So you can go ahead and check out all of those here on this channel. If you're looking to get more familiar with the Major Music Lounge podcast, or you can find it on every podcast streaming platform. Go ahead, listen, and again, if you're interested in being on the Major Music Lounge podcast, definitely hit me up on Instagram at d._majormusic, or email me at majormusicent@gmail.com. Going back to some of the projects that I've been working on personally, I got a chance to work with a videographer here in Dallas by the name of Richie Jetson. And, the reason I wanted to kind of start working with a videographer was, I was accustomed really to shooting a lot of my videos. I look at like video editing, for example, kind of like audio engineering. We're going to have different concepts in our head as far as like how we hear or how we see things. But at the end of the day, how we kind of put those things together are going to be kind of based on our perspective. Seeing a lot of Richie's work with Smokey Johnson. Shout out to Smokey Johnson, who also was on the podcast earlier this year.
And and another thing too, man, is I was trying to get that to work, but didn't have the time, man. But rest in peace, man, to Tyke Patterson, man, Trap House, man.
Oh yeah, man, that was sad, bro.
That was devastating, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, life is real short, man. And from what I see, man, you know what I'm saying? He did great things within this community, you know what I mean? Time, like, in the same effort Nipsey was, you know what I'm saying? He just didn't really have the budget, but he had the people, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, rest in peace to that good brother there, man. I met him and chopped it up with him a few times, man. And hell yeah, he even, you know what I'm saying, showed me love of my music, you know what I mean? I was like, so, yeah, man, rest in peace to that brother, man, because he moved, man. He had the movement going.
Yeah, he had something real going. It was a shock because, like, when I found out, it was probably in November, 'cause I think it was 2 years ago, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I just noticed he hadn't posted that for a while. Like, you just notice certain people just don't post for a while. Then he posted again, and he announced that he was sick, and it just happened rather fast, man. And it made me sad for the simple fact that, like you said, there was a little kid, I think his name was Alex, but he kind of adopted him almost like a little brother.
Yeah.
And they even did a video. The kid wrote a rap, and Tyke, he recited the rap and made the video, but the kid couldn't talk, so he made the song for the kid, and it was kind of cool, man. And that was stuff like that really made me like, wow, man, this dude got a big heart, man.
Very big heart, bro. And he did it with love, man. He did it with love, and he went around the world with it, bro. And like, this is, you know what I'm saying?
But seeing a lot of like Richie's previous work with Smokey, I decided to work with him on the very first video, Chill Vibes, and I thought that went well. We actually shot that one at the Fabrication Yard here in Dallas, and then we shot Been Around at a video production suite here in, well, it's still in Dallas, but it's in Irving, which is a suburb of Dallas. When I shot a lot of videos, or when I did a lot of videos now in the COVID age, I wanted to do some different things. So before I wrap up the first part of our 2021 year in review, I also want to take some time to shout out someone that was lost earlier this year, and that person was 3D. And many of you might know 3D from a lot of the music that we've done. We've done the Step Your Game video, which was released in 2012. I started making beats in 2006, and to kind of give you some perspective on 3D. So 3D and Boom were brothers, and I actually worked with Boom at one point around 2006. So we started making a lot of music around that time, but that was when I met 3D, and we got to conversating, and I told him at that time, hey, I'm just starting to make beats. And at that time I was maybe 23, 24 years old, and he ended up pulling up to the crib where I was living at the time. And at the time it was Reason 3. So we're going back to 2006. It was Reason 3. So 3D was mainly a hardware producer using the Motif. I think it was the Motif 6 around that time. But he still put some things in perspective that allowed me to be able to start making beats. It was 3D that really took the time to teach me how to create beats. And we made a lot of great beats together, great songs together. Step Your Game Up, Run That. There was In My Own Lane, which was off of the Studios and Stages project. And then, we made a ton of beats together. 3D to me was a mentor, a brother, a friend, and we connected on a lot of other things outside of music. I can remember, when I got laid off from a job I was working 10, 11, 12 years ago, and it was him and I that over that time we created a lot of music together. And I'll never forget all the times, not just music, but going out, maybe going to the clubs, going out to bars, hanging out, and just, it was some things about life that I can't even really explain, but like, we had a lot of similarities about our lives. And, that one kind of hit me pretty hard earlier this year when it did happen. I never had anybody that was into music production or music kind of like I was coming up that really would take me under their wing and kind of show me the ropes as far as being a music producer. And I'm appreciative that 3D took the time to do so. And, you will be missed. You will be missed. And I promise, going forward to continue applying everything that was taught to me by 3D. So rest in peace, 3D, and I appreciate everything that you've done for me as a person. And, boom, we got you, man. You're a brother to me as well, and, love you to death, man. And hey, let's get it. So as we finish up on part one of the 2020 year in review, you can go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Also follow me on Instagram at d._major music. Follow me on Twitter at d.mme. And if you're interested in getting on a Major Music Lounge podcast, go ahead, hit me up. And again, we're going to make it happen. I hope everybody got accomplished what they wanted to get accomplished in 2021. And I hope 2022 is even better for you than 2021 was. Stay tuned for part two of the 2021 year in review, which I'm going to play some other clips of past interviews and more. Until next time, I'm out. I get probably an hour and a half total break time at work, and I'm always into something. And a lot of times people probably think I'm antisocial, but
for sure. For sure.
But nah, man, it's just kind of like the work never stopped, and people that don't really do what we do, they don't really understand that. And yourself, like, you have a family too, so you gotta really make things happen when you have time. Yeah.
I'm telling you, just like with you, man. Like I did with you. My kids are like hitting my mixes up in the morning. I'm in my car driving to school, and I'm like, you think my levels are right here? You think I need to drop the vocals on the hook or what? And they're like, I don't know. It sounds good to me. Like, nobody knows what it takes to do this. Like, they don't really understand. Like, you could drop a project and really, ask somebody for their opinion that, oh, it's dope, I like it, or, oh, I haven't got a chance to listen to it yet. It really takes thick skin, because you're putting your art out there, you're putting your soul out there, and you're not always going to get the best feedback, but you really do it for yourself. And those few moments to when people really give you an honest opinion on what they hear really is what it's all about. If you touch anybody with anything you said that came from your own story and your trajectory, then it's what it's all about. Like, I've gotten so much feedback on this album, and I'm so happy about it. Like, this is why I keep doing it. And this is in this lane that you and I and Zach and other people now, because so many people are trying to do this now, this kind of like over 40, old head, grown man kind of music. It just proves that hip hop can transcend. You don't got to be 20 to make hip hop no more. And it's just a whole different look. It's like contemporary hip hop is going on right now for the OGs.
In 2011, that's when you were actually on my show for the Producers Corner. I actually listened to that interview maybe about 30 minutes before we started this one. And at that point in time, it wasn't quite platinum as of yet. So tell us a little bit about, did you ever think when y'all were in the lab creating that song, it ever had the chance to become a platinum record?
Well, I tell this story a lot to my friends. A lot of the people that's close to me know this story. And, you know, me and Cupid laugh about it a lot. Everybody thought it was, except me. And that's crazy. But that's only because, you know, I always listen to records from the musical side, the producer side, the psychology side. You know, a lot of my friends always tell me, "Oh, Fat, you're thinking too much. You put too much thought in." The funny story about that is when me and him actually worked on the song, I did not like the beat at all.
Wow.
Like, I completely was like, man, this is too simple. Like, I get the whole concept of less is more, but, you know, I was really like, man, let me add some keys, let me add some breakdowns. And he kept saying, no, Fat, I'm telling you, leave it like it is. This is perfect. And I'm like, dog, okay, this is your song. You the one got to go out there and push that. But don't tell nobody I made this beat. And it's ironic that the one song I told him not to tell nobody I made the track is the freaking song that got a 3 million sold plaque hanging on my wall today. So I didn't think it was gonna be that, you know, but the people made it the song that it was, you know.
Man, and yeah, it's taking up a life of its own. I mean, it's everywhere. I'm sometimes walking in the mall. I remember the other night, maybe like a week or two ago, I'm chilling in the crib watching the Warriors play one night, and I see Steph and Draymond on the bench dancing to the Cupid Shuffle. And this is like, bruh, 2021.
Right.
And that song came out in 2007.
Right.
And then, I mean, you think about all the other like soundtracks and, you know, wherever, TV shows, etc. Everywhere it's played, man. And, you know,
TV and
props up
movie
to you.
placements, yeah, man. It's been, the song just took wings, man. And, you know, I can honestly say, man, it's a blessing. It was a blessing in disguise. And, man, that song really changed our lives for real. For real.
Man, yeah, definitely, man. Props up to you for that. And, you know, aside from that, you also known for your Fat Tuesday series. Tell us a little bit about that series as well, because you had a lot of, you know, people involved with that over the years, and some of the other projects that you maybe worked on along the way.
A lot of people that aren't from like the southwestern part of Louisiana
also doing this podcast, and you know, just another avenue for me to help spread knowledge and connect with other producers as well, because, you know, kind of like you said, I feel like now more than ever, a lot more people are starting to connect, and it's almost kind of like it's one big producer community with all of us in it. And, you know, that's what I like now compared to maybe 10, 15 years ago, because I remember that era. You had things like SoundCloud. I mean, yeah, well, you did have SoundCloud that was popping, but you had SoundClick. I don't even remember.
SoundClick and MySpace were the two.
SoundClick, MySpace, Reverb Nation. There was rapmusic.com, where you could upload beats, and, you know, you could do your battle that way as well.
That was one of the forums I was on. That's crazy.
And it was just crazy, like how, you know, you're right. There was a lot of like hate, and then it wasn't as easy to network at that point in time than it is now. So,
yeah,
you know, I definitely commend you for that. And what I wanted to also ask is, you know, from afar, I do also like really you guys' consistency as far as not only doing the show as a group, but also you also have kind of your individual things going as well. Speak to really, I guess, how you can be consistent as far as creating content between your YouTube channel and then just being a creator yourself, having time to work on your own music.
Well, honestly, time was bad for me. Time is great now because I just quit my job and everything. So it's about to go in overdrive, but it is tough. It is tough. Like, you have to really be dedicated. You know what I mean? It is tough to find those spaces, and you have to be selfish at times. So, you know, where there's times where I'm hanging out with the kids and we got plans. Sometimes I'm like, look, Saturday mornings, I got a show to do. You know what I mean? You just got to put your foot down. It's time consuming, but I mean, now I'm going to go into overdrive.
Just a little bit about, you know, the evolution of iOS production? I know you talked about how it is the future, but from where it's came to now, what's your thoughts on a lot of the evolution of iOS music production?
Sure. So, I mean, where we are right now in the overall, I'd say, evolution of the iPad with music production is maybe circa, PCs, maybe circa 2010, maybe right around there, 2005, 2010. So we're still a little bit early days. Like I said, I think it's really going to come into its own this particular decade here by the end of, but after 2030, just, every major producer will have some type of iPad setup, whether they're just using it for a sound module or they have a full blown mobile setup. Like it's pretty much, it's going to be a staple in the music production industry. But right now it is still it's still pretty early. And where it came from, it's pretty crazy to see where we are now, because you did mention the AUV3 standard. So I want to mention a couple things that really set the iPad now into in my opinion, a professional music production device. And one of those things was USB-C. So that was a very important thing, because we had to get rid of the Lightning so that we're not reliant completely on Apple's adapters, and so that we can pretty much support any type of class compliant USB-C device, like any type of USB MIDI keyboard or any type of USB audio interface. And now we're at the point where, man, all these manufacturers are designing audio interfaces and devices specifically for mobile music production. So, that's where we are right now. But where we came from is the big things were the USB-C that had to get taken care of. And the second thing really had to be taken care of was the iOS. So we got something called iPad OS. And that iPad OS did several huge things for iOS and iOS music production. It gave us a full-on file system, which was absolutely huge in the form of that Files app. So we can now actually just be able to connect to our local server. We could be able to plug in any type of flash drive you want, any type of external storage. So that's absolutely massive. So those things are massive. Then we got a full-blown desktop web browser. So now the web browser inside of your iPad will believe that it's on a Mac. So there's no more, just browsing mobile web versions of websites, which was terrible. And then mouse and keyboard support.
Some career stuff, and I just didn't come back. But I did, like I say, periodically I came back. And finally, it's been 3 years, but really it's been a year and a half that I can really say I'm fully back. I think initially when I tried to come back, I wanted to do a podcast because podcasts were getting popular. And I wanted to do that. That didn't work out. I dabbled and dabbed in some tech stuff. That didn't really work out. And so I said, you know what? Stop playing. You need to go back to doing what you love to do, which is music, and teaching people how to work music equipment, software, so forth and so on. So yeah, man, I found iOS. iOS sparked me because I had been working with Reason for so many years. It really didn't. It didn't excite me like it did before. It was kind of old UI. It hadn't really changed a lot. So I was watching somebody on YouTube and they was using the iPad to make beats. I had an iPad laying around my house that my wife had bought me for Christmas. So I was like, yo, let me check this out.
How long have you been creating music?
Yeah, so I started music quite a while ago, like probably in the early 2000s. However, I didn't really start applying myself or taking things seriously until 2012. That is when I really made a choice that music is definitely something that I want to make a part of my everyday life. I want to create a sustainable income from it. And I'd like to be able to really, it wasn't about the income, actually. It was more about engaging my passion and my gift of music and actually applying it into my life every day, because I had a strong feeling or strong will that if I engaged my passion in my life, that would bring me a lot of fulfillment and happiness and purpose in life. So it wasn't until 2012 that I really put my head down. I started really practicing my skills, my vocals every day. I was singing every day. I was going out performing like open mic nights, because I started out as a singer-songwriter. So I was playing my guitar and writing songs and singing. And so I was like really applying myself since then, since 2012. And ever since then, my life has only just grown. It's just kept kind of like opening doors, new doors, and expanding on what I'm doing. So
Give you your flowers while you're here. Just starting the whole concept of Icebreaker Radio, and we're gonna kind of go into that as we go along. But you kind of paved the way for us to go to larger platforms like we are now. 10 years later or so. I'm gonna be forever grateful for that, man.
Now, I just want to say, man, yeah, like you said, hey, man, I know for me personally, man, if it wasn't for you calling me and introducing me to Corey, oh man, Chosen, excuse me, Chosen and stuff like that, man. I don't know if I'll still be doing this right now, to be honest with you. I don't know what I would be doing. And it was funny that Chosen was talking about everything. Like we had the introductory to what we're doing right now, and also to the streaming side of things. Because believe it or not, I mean, Chosen, he was doing the streaming stuff, and he's probably one of the first ones to get in trouble by BMI or ASCAP or something like that. For real. So that's a pioneer talk right there, man. I'm just sitting back listening, man.
Never really asked you this question, but what made you at that time want to start Icebreaker Radio?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, like what Trey was talking about, we went to audio engineering school, and I think that was in 2007, Trey, when we was doing our thing. And then, because I remember I got married 08, and then so I think it might have been in 2008 that we kind of got together and went through it. Well, my uncle, you know what I'm saying, and he ran a decent program, but we were so far advanced for his class, and we were looking to get into more advanced stages of the record business. And so primarily, for the most part, we both made the decision to kind of venture off and work together, do a couple things. He was impressed with my rap skills at the time. Yeah, I do rap, for those of y'all that don't know.
I remember.
And he had some great production. And he had a good sound, a better ear for engineering than what I had. And so, we both just developed this mutual respect. Well, when I moved back to Dallas, I was like, what do I do to get my brand out there? Everybody try to come up with some creative catch or some unique way of marketing and promoting themselves. So for me, I started a website called icebreakerproductions.com. And my goal was to have this plan called the Battle of the High Schools, where I was going to give away free studio time and free production. I was looking for that one guy who could rap at every high school. And hey, look, well, I'm going to give you these beats. I'm going to give you the studio time. You go sell these CDs for $3 a pop. You keep $2 and bring me back $1. Well, I think it was like 67 high schools in Dallas. I said, well, if I can find that one person in every high school, then man, I'm going to be making some money at the end of the year. And what wound up happening was I wound up building this website. Shout out to Marcus Parker, man, because he took me to Ning.com. And when I went to Ning, they had all of these apps that you could add to the website. And one of the apps was called Blog Talk Radio. So I was like, let me check this out. And then one of my classmates one of the first guys that I started rapping with in the studio ever, you know what I'm saying? Hell of an engineer himself, hell of a producer himself, showed me a lot about what I know, went by the name of Rifleman, his name is Rodney Fisher now. He said, man, I want to do a sports show. And he said, man, show me how to do this radio thing. So I was like, man, it's easy. Come over here to Blog Talk Radio, set up your account, do this, do that, do this, do that. And I watched this guy send off marketing emails to every sports agency in Dallas. And true story, Mark Cuban responded to his email and said, hey, look, man, we'll give you press credentials. We just want to make sure you're covering the Mavericks. And that year, the Mavericks won the national championship. So his dad worked for American Airlines. So I'm watching him fly to Portland, watching him fly to LA, watching him fly everywhere, going over all these different things. And it seemed like his radio show blew up. So I said, man, I've been sitting on my Blog Talk Radio account for like 9 months and ain't done nothing with it. And so I said, man, I'm gonna just hop into this radio and see what I can make happen. And from that particular point, I ran across three, Gerald Morgan now, you know what I'm saying? My old manager, he won the hometown showdown for K104, which is, you know what I'm saying, a major radio station here in Dallas. And I watched how he began to reach out to all these different publicists and booking agents and stuff like that and get these special guests. And I was like, man, how are you getting these special guests? I said, man, you don't know these people. How you get them on your show? And he said, man, it's easy. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm doing this. And I just started duplicating the system. And before you know it, boom, 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 boom. It all came together, man. And what I saw is that in radio, man, it's different. When you tell somebody you got a radio station, it's not the same as saying, hey, look, listen to my mixtape or listen to my CD. You know, everybody wants you to play that music. And so that's how we came together, man. It was really just that simple, man. It was like, you know, it was like George Washington Carver accidentally discovering peanut butter, man. It literally came along as a way to market the music. I just said, hey, look, man, if I can break my own records, then I don't really need a record label. And, you know, here's where we are today.